All right, so the matter of faith and fasting.
So people will look at it as cutting out the pleasurable type of things. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, when we do a Daniel fast, it's more going back to natural things. So it's more plant-based, it's whole grains, whole wheat, there's no dairy, there's no meat, and definitely no fish if you really want to be strict. Massive amounts of fruits because again, fruits are high in sugar. Now, the fruits that like a ripe banana has a high sugar content and also high content of carbohydrates. So that
Mm.
individual should not be having a banana every day. So, say for example, this diabetic is someone that takes insulin or takes other medications. They probably cannot go fasting from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., meaning, go without anything,
Yeah.
and say, oh, I'm just going to drink water. No, again, because you have to also remember in a congregation or in a house of faith, you have not just different medical conditions, but people of different age groups. So if you have water or have something, it will be enough to kind of calm you, or because your brain, your stomach oftentimes does not really care what you put in it. And I'll pause because your stomach does not necessarily care. It just knows, okay, I'm empty and I want something.
And uniquely me is uniquely you. Everyone, first and foremost, Happy New Year. Welcome to another episode of Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart. We are looking at fasting and faith, a medical conversation. Now, most of you know that I am definitely not a medical practitioner. I'm a banker, right? And I guess one would call me a journalist. But guys, let me tell you something. Resources, one thing I will tell you as you move forward in this new year is that everything you need for moving forward with whatever plans and purposes God has positioned you with, He has positioned you with the resources as well. And so, guys, would you believe it that my best friend, like my best friend, happens to be a medical practitioner, right? And I got her here. You're probably seeing her on screen. You've already seen the title, etc., and the thumbnail. And so, guys, help me make welcome Arlene Campbell. Now, Arlene is located there in Connecticut. She has her own practice, guys, Arlene Campbell Medical Services. It's a telehealth service business, guys. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but let me tell you something. I'm all the way over here in Canada and I'm benefiting from this telehealth business, and so many others have been. Instead of you thinking you need to go line up at the health center, etc., etc., you are able to just dial this woman and ta-da, you have a doctor at your fingertip. Of course, if there's something more serious, she's definitely going to encourage you to visit the nearest health facility, etc. But guess what, guys? Let me just pause here and welcome my best friend, Arlene. Mwah! Welcome, my darling.
Thank you so much, Simone, for having me. It is truly a pleasure. I'm sure it's been a long time coming, and I've been running for many, many years. But congratulations, to you and just this wonderful platform that you have, and just this medium that so many can come on and be edified and be educated. So it is truly an honor for me to be here.
Awesome.
And I can't even believe that I'm here, but God does his thing in his own time.
Amen. And let me congratulate you too on air. You have truly proven resilience and dreaming big, and that nothing is impossible. Absolutely nothing. You're never too old to achieve your goals, right? Your dreams are never too far-fetched. That you can't achieve them. You are absolutely living proof. And I just want you to know I am super proud of you. Absolutely proud of you. I tell you that every day, anyhow.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, my darling, we want to jump into the conversation because, at the start of a new year, there are several different things that we plan out. I'll tell you for starters, I've done it a couple of times and I decided this year I'm not doing it. So one of the first things I usually want to do is I want to start a new kind of lifestyle. So I always buy new sneakers and gym clothes, and sometimes I even buy gym instruments and stuff. And I'll tell you the truth, honestly, sometimes January don't finish and I've not been able to accomplish. I cannot recall a time that I made it through the year, right, with my New Year's resolution, so to speak. Then we think about we want to change our diet and all the different things we're going to eat. And I will tell you, I've also gotten caught in the trap of buying all these different things during December that I'm going to eat come January, and it just never get done. But what are some of those things that you've seen, especially from the medical side, that people use as New Year's resolution, health wise, medical wise, etc.
So absolutely, you're right. When the new year rolls around, you think about people trying to reset, if you would. So they, whether it's just resetting their mindset on how they think about life, resetting their mindset of how they think about their health, because throughout the year, they've either had certain experiences or have been told that something is going on, or they have found out that something runs in their family. So now they're like, okay, you know what? It's a new year, new start. So let's get going. Some of the things that definitely ring true, like you said, everyone is like, all right, I'm going to exercise or I'm going to eat differently. Or they'll say, Doc, when I come back, I am going to lose this much weight, or my blood pressure is going to be better, or you just wait, my cholesterol is going to be better. And I'm definitely rooting for them. But most of the times, just making the resolution on its own is not enough. You need the tools, you need the know-how, and truly you need to understand the why. Because yeah, it's great to be motivated. So once patients are motivated, and I honestly, I capitalize on their motivation because I think they understand more and they're more open to new ideas and more open now to trying the things that are necessary to get them to their goal. And
Yeah.
so, depending on what it is that you're trying to achieve, then it makes a difference as to how frequently you're seen and how frequently you need to be seeing your provider.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, let's start with what are some of those common things that we do need to be seeing our medical provider for, say at the start of the year. What are some of those things? I will tell you that while most persons use, the January, so to speak, first part of the year to do those things, I usually use my birthday because I feel like I'm a little bit more organized. I'm out of the rush of Christmas, so to speak, and the New Year, and I'm better settled and to ensure that I'm getting those things done. But I'm asking this question for you to answer because I've also seen several people, you'll ask them, for instance, have you gotten your pap smear done? Have you gotten your annual this done? And they've not done it in years, you know what I mean? So what are some of those things that at the start of a new year or whichever part in the year we want to put it are essential to our well-being?
So, as it states, when you say your well-being, you think of your well check. So, your well check or your annual wellness check. Most people say, well, if I'm okay or if I'm well, why do I need to see the doctor? Well, you might have things happening that you truly have zero symptoms. You don't feel anything different and you don't necessarily know that anything is going on. Because the great thing about our body is that how we were created, there are many, how should we put it? Not fail safe, but there are many compensatory mechanisms. So your body is able to compensate for certain things. And sometimes by the time you start to feel symptoms, it's because the backup plan, that backup generator that's built in is now wearing out. And it is truly a signal that something is going on. And so sometimes it's a hard sell for us as a primary care provider than if you're a specialist. The specialists, for example, they take care of things when it's really now past the point where your primary care provider can truly help you. Whereas your primary care provider, just as it says, is primary care, so it's more preventative health. So we're kind of helping you stay on track, stay on task, and kind of in order to prevent something from happening. So if you know that, say, for example, high blood pressure runs in your family, we don't need to wait until your blood pressure is now super elevated that you're coming in, because at that point, we may not be able to avoid medication. But if you are monitoring and you're being, followed throughout your lifespan, then we can say, all right, you know what, we're starting to notice it's nudging up just a little bit. So these are the things that you need to do, again, in order to prevent um, further issues down the road, or even prevent needing to be on medication. And so depending on a person's age, their lifestyle, their history, and their family history. Sometimes, rule of thumb, they would say is you get your physical or your annual check once a year. And that's just your overall physical. That does not necessarily include, like the pap smear and so on. That's a little bit different because there are guidelines. And so with those, we can talk about that at a different time. But as far as your overall physical, that should be something that's an annual basis. Yes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, dieting, because you and I talk about this all the time, the dieting and what we need to be eating and not eat and all of those things. Um, is it okay for us to cheat sometimes, so to speak? So like I think it's someone at work, I heard him saying, listen, Christmas and New Year, don't talk to me. I'm just gonna eat whatever I want to eat, you know. And then come the start of the first day of January, I'm back to the norm, etc. Because it's I'm allowed to cheat. Are we? Should we?
So that is a gray area. And the reason I say that is depending on your medical condition, can you really afford to cheat?
Mm.
And um, how long is this cheating going to be happening? And when you say cheat, what are you going to be cheating with?
Hmm.
So I will use, again, someone that has diabetes or someone that has high blood pressure. Cheating for them can look like, okay, you know what? It's my birthday and I'm having the cake. So we
Yeah.
know that someone that has diabetes should really try to avoid having, lots of sugar and carbs and those kinds of things. However, I've told my diabetic patients, I said, listen, yes, it's your birthday or you're on vacation, you can have that piece of cake. But the issue is, are you disciplined enough just to have only one slice? Or are you, do you know that, if I have one slice, it's going to need to a second slice or maybe the whole cake? And so you have to think about that. So if you know that, you know what, I'm able to have that one slice, it's enough to satisfy my my little
Maybe.
feeling that I have, then I say you go for it. Because again, that's just one time, it's one day, because then your general, pattern stays within your restriction. So I have no I would never say no to a cheat day. It just depends on what's happening with you as far as your medical condition, and how far you plan to go with this cheating and what it
Mhm.
is that you plan to cheat with.
Yeah. All right. So the matter of faith and fasting, right? Um, it's funny when I started a couple of years ago, I started doing, my 21-day fast, etc. And then as I did my research, from a Christian standpoint, we talk about the Daniel fast, and it's all biblical for me. But then I realized that it's actually an adopted way of life by a lot of people, right? I don't know if you want to first define for us what is this Daniel fast, and then we can dive a little deeper.
Okay. So for those of our faith-based audience, we know of Daniel being a praying man.
Mm-hmm.
And, Daniel sought for an answer. And so it took some time for that answer to come. And so in that period of waiting, he decided to pray, but then also fast. So what this actually meant for him was basically cutting out certain things. So people will look at it as cutting out the pleasurable type of things. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, when we do a Daniel fast, it's more going back to natural things. So it's more plant-based, it's whole grains, whole wheat, there's no dairy, there's no meat, and definitely no fish if you really want to be strict. Now,
Mm-hmm.
over time, what I've seen, there's other individuals have kind of tweaked it a little bit by adding, say, okay, we can have a little fish, or they say, it's okay to have, like sea salt or pink Himalayan salt. But truly, if you are being super strict with a Daniel fast, there is no dairy, there is no meat, there's absolutely no form of animal protein whatsoever. No added salt, no sugar, no processed foods, nothing that's processed, everything just natural, organic, and truly whole grain, whole wheat, fruits, vegetables, and that's it.
Wow. Wow. So is it fair then to say that the benefits we get from such a lifestyle, not only is it spiritual, but without a shadow of a doubt that it's physical as well?
Absolutely. There are lots of benefits to doing a Daniel fast, but not necessarily the fast, but also a Daniel kind of diet, so to speak. Because
Mm,
let me just say, when we use the word diet, oftentimes it has like a negative connotation, so to speak, because people always think of the word diet as I'm going on a diet. Not necessarily. Your diet is basically what you consume. What are you eating? What is in your diet? What is it that you're consuming? But going on a diet is a little bit different than saying, this is what I'm including or excluding from my diet. So as far as the Daniel fast goes, or eating in that way where you're eating more natural foods and things that are more plant-based. What's good about that is it eliminates a lot of the um, certain fats that can really cause certain disease processes in your body. So people that are usually plant-based, they don't have usually they don't usually have high cholesterol. Now, can
mm,
they still have high cholesterol? Yes, because if it is a genetic predisposition to high cholesterol, they still can have, elevated cholesterol, but it's probably not going to be as high as someone that's eating animal-based products. And, a lot of dairy, a lot of meat and butter and cheese and those kinds of things that can truly increase your risk of cardiovascular events. So like stroke, heart attack, and those things. We
wow.
also know that individuals that do follow a plant-based diet are generally oftentimes not fall into that morbidly obese category either. Not because they're necessarily working out or exercising more, but again, it's because they're not having processed foods and they're not having the animal fats
Mm,
or things of that nature. So you find that obesity is not a major deal for someone that truly stays strictly plant-based.
yeah.
Um, and so they have lower risks of certain diseases. They have a lower risk of hypertension. They have lower incidences of um, diabetes, high cholesterol, and also even colon cancer.
Wow. 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 Um, so that being the case, um, as it relates to fasting, as it relates to fasting, is it okay then for us to say then that I'm gonna cut the sugar out, I'm gonna cut out the processed foods, and just say, well, I'm gonna fast? Or is it for us as who are so-called Christians, so to speak, that it's not just about cutting out foods, it's about something else? It's about the prayer, it's about the time with God. What is it?
So when we think of fasting, in the medical world, there people also practice intermittent fasting to help to control their weight or to control their blood sugar. So for them, it's not necessarily that they're following anything faith-based. They're not necessarily even following a plant-based diet, but they're doing this intermittent fasting. So what that all means is just what it says. If you are fasting, it means you're not eating.
Mm-hmm.
There's no eating. So
Okay.
they go through a period of time where they just, if they are saying, okay, I eat nothing from 6 a.m. to noon, and then noontime would be the first time I have something to eat. Then that's technically their breakfast. So breakfast is, I mean, the word breakfast is derived from breaking your fast,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first meal that you have for the day is technically your breakfast. That's a whole other thing. But so those that may practice intermittent fasting, again, whether it's to control their weight in an attempt to control their weight or manage their weight or an attempt to manage their blood sugar. So what they do is they fast for several hours, and then when they do break their fast, they may eat one meal for the day or two meals for the day. And so they may not necessarily be watching so much, their meat intake or all the other things. But again, if it's for diabetes, for example, they will probably have less carbohydrates or starchy foods. So like rice and bread and pasta and potatoes, those kinds of things that are heavily starchy, and they try to add more, veggies and fruit. But they have, whether they're fasting for 8 hours, 12 hours, or even 16 hours. Some people do that. They do that
Mm.
fasting, yes.
So, there are those of us who will say, if I don't eat, I get a headache. I feel like I'm going to pass out. So we avoid fasting. Um, is that such a case? Is that a thing where you miss? Because we're told that we need to have 3 meals per day, right? Your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner. And well, for me, I was told every 2 hours I need to be eating or so. But I have noticed now as I'm getting older that if I go, let's say for instance, I get up and 10 o'clock has passed, I have not had anything. I started feeling, oh Lord, my head, I feel like I'm gonna pass out and all of those things. Is there such a thing? And it's a two-part question. As a result of that, I am noticing that when I think about going into a biblical kind of fast, right, or a faith-based fast, because I'm afraid of these physical, um, what you call it, physical symptoms, I am now feeling hesitant about doing a fast. So I guess my part three question to that will be then, how then do I cultivate within my regular lifestyle, faith-based kind of fast?
Okay. So first and foremost, definitely what you feel and what you're asking about is what we call hypoglycemia, or meaning low blood sugar. So whether you're diabetic or not, just normally we all have a certain level of glucose that's in our bodies. It's in our bloodstream. We need it for energy. We need it for fuel. So our cells need sugar or glucose in order to be able to function. It's like gas in your car. If
Mm-hmm.
there is no gas in the tank, it's not going anywhere. So if you don't eat or you don't refill your tank, what will happen is it starts to diminish. So sometimes people really get those symptoms. So whether they are getting the headache, the blurred vision that they'll tell you, or they feel dizzy, or sometimes they get very cranky. It
Mm-hmm.
is a thing, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't eaten at all, you will experience those symptoms. Now, you may, as you said, feel a little hesitant because like, oh my gosh, you're saying I have to fast, whether I'm fasting for 12 hours or however long they're asking us to fast. Now, depending on your body and um, how you feel when that's happening, you can start by deciding, okay, our fasting starts, in 2 weeks, or the fast is supposed to start at the beginning of the year. Even the week or 2 weeks before, you start allowing your body to adjust,
Mm.
because that's what will happen if you go from eating your 3 meals a day and snacking in between, and then all of a sudden now you're saying, oh, you can't eat anything for 8 hours. It's literally like laying in bed and someone just ripping the sheets off, and then now you're shivering because you're like, what happened? So that's what's happening to your system. So I would always say it's better to start by slowly, you know, trying to kind of get your body adjusted. So caffeine is one of the things that you have to also take out of your diet once you are going on a Daniel fast. So that includes tea, coffee, any beverages that have caffeine. So one of the things that I would say to, patients, that even those that I'm trying to wean them off of their caffeine because now that, their heart's racing, their blood pressure is going up, that's something that has to be done gradually. Because if you go drinking, 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day to now all of a sudden saying no coffee, you're
Mm.
going to have withdrawal symptoms, which
Mm.
can include headache and just feeling really tired and low and all of those things.
Yeah.
So again, weaning yourself, if you know you're a coffee drinker and your fasting is coming up, then you start by saying, okay, you cut back to your 2 cups, then cut back to a cup, and then, cut back to a cup every other day and kind of alternate and slowly get your body to adjust
Wow.
to
I
be
like
off
that.
of the caffeine. And it's the same with the sugar. So if you're a person that generally, you like your sweets or you eat certain things, you would do the same thing. So even a week before, it is a great idea to start making those little changes, little adjustments here and there, so that when it's time to do your fast, it's not this, you know, not doing that to your body, because
Yeah.
you probably will feel sick, and then truly you might decide like, I can't do this, or I'm not able to do this.
Yeah. 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 So what are some of those things then that, are right, so to speak, to have during our Daniel fast or during our 21 days. And I'm kind of focusing on that because I know a lot of persons are embarking on their 21-day fast for the start of the year. We have those who do their 7 or their 3 days every month, etc. What are some of those things that are worth having in our cupboards, in our fridge, on our grocery list as we are going through our fast?
So the number one thing, as far as fasting goes, hydration. So
Mm.
water, water, water. So that's key, whether you're fasting or not fasting. So water is one big thing that you need to have. The other thing, the other thing is truly planning ahead. So one of the things, the main thing is, as we say, plant-based. So anything, so fruits, vegetables, anything that is from the ground, if you would.
Mm.
So some individuals might say, oh, I'm excited because I'm going to do this and I'm going to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
But I will caution you, you may, of course, notice a few pounds shedding, but if you're still having a lot of carbohydrates, you
Mm-hmm.
probably won't lose much, because again, um, any ground provision, so things like sweet potatoes and bananas and those kinds of things, even if you're switching from say white rice and now you're doing brown rice, because say brown rice because it's whole grain and whole wheat,
Mm-hmm.
that would be okay. Or you're switching to that bulgur wheat, or you're doing like whole grain pasta or the veggie pasta. Those are things that are still carbohydrates. So you
Yikes.
might not, and it's okay, it would be fine to have on that kind of a fast. But if you're still eating the same portion and so on, you might not quote unquote, lose. Because again, it's not for weight loss. We
Yeah.
know that this is for spiritual strength, spiritual growth, and, just to get some answers from the Lord, because as the word reminds us that there are some things that truly don't break, but through prayer and fasting.
Amen.
So let's get back to the grocery list. So definitely water, things that are plant-based. You can have seeds and nuts, and people will talk about trail mix.
Mm-hmm.
My caution with trail mix is just making sure you're reading the ingredients, because a lot of things does have added sugar, which can trip you up. Because again, the whole point is it's avoiding sugar and any preservatives and additives. Now, it's hard sometimes to find certain things that don't have that, but you can. It's just reading the food labels. Sometimes you're like, oh, but this doesn't taste sweet. But when you look at the back of the label, it tells you, 35 grams of sugar. But the key is looking if it has added sugar.
Yeah, yeah.
So on the fast, so you can have water for sure, and there you can have fruit juice as long as it's 100%. So whether you're buying the fruit and you're just kind of using an extractor and extracting the juice yourself, or when you go to the grocery store, you look for the one that says 100% juice, and making sure you read the label that it says um, no added sugar.
Yeah, yeah. I know you had done a few videos showing us how to read our labels. And so guys, I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to put a link to Arlene's Facebook page. You can go on there. When I tell you every Monday she puts out content, guys, you will absolutely binge what you see there, and you'll find great value in it. It has changed the way how I basically do my grocery shopping. And what is it? What is it? What is it exactly that I'm looking for? I will tell you, Arlene, that I have gotten into the habit of juicing, and I got the shock of my life. I think I put apples, celery, I think it was a pineapple, apple, celery, pineapple, and I think ginger. And girl, I literally was like, I felt like something shocked my system. I didn't know there was so much sugar in just those by itself. So, like, it was super sweet. Yesterday, I did carrot, beetroot, ginger. Those are the three things. And again, I was like, did I put sugar in this or something? Because it was so sweet, right? And so I'm recognizing that again, instead of us wanting to go, going to grocery stores, they were buying these box juice, why not do our own juicing, for want of a better word? Whether it's using the juicer or blending. As a matter of fact, I should ask you if are we losing anything when we blend versus when we just juice?
Mm, Not, I wouldn't say you're losing anything. So some people don't like grains and pulp in their in their juice. So the thing that they might be missing out on is what would give them the added fiber. So by not using that, they might see the remnants of the other thing just kind of sitting off to the side, and that's just because, that some people say, well, that's the trash, and I don't want to, consume that. But think about when you're eating the whole apple, you're eating it
Mhm.
all, except,
Mhm.
the little seeds and the core. And so
Mhm.
when you juice and you're extracting the juice is there, that's great. But again, you're getting just the juice. So yes, you're gonna taste the sugar content. And probably for you, you got as you said, the shock of the juice is because you combined several fruits, and every fruit has natural sugar. Every
Mm,
single fruit has natural sugar, but some have a higher sugar content than others. Until when you combine the fruits, you are going to get that. And so some people might not even notice that because they're so used to having, sweets all the time. But
mm,
someone like yourself that may have been cutting back on your sugar consumption,
yeah.
when you taste something that sweet, your taste buds say, "Whoa, this is,
Mm.
a little different." So I would say it's just the fiber piece that they might be missing by not including sometimes like the pulp or the pit of the thing. But otherwise, I mean, overall, you're still getting quite a bit of nutrients. So it's
Oh,
better than nothing.
awesome. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Now, salt and I notice you did, well, salt and honey are two of the things that during fasting we are tempted to leave out the salt and then we throw in the honey, or some people throw in the agave, so to speak. Uh, those don't, should we not? What are your thoughts?
So again, truly, if we are going to be like 100% strict as for a Daniel fast. Most of the times, those are not a part of it. Those are not included because they are still considered sweeteners. However, I've seen where, um, you know, it's been included. And so if you're going to have it, they would say, all right, if you're going to have honey, then it should be, organic and it should be organic, raw, and unfiltered. So as close to natural as possible.
Mhm.
And some individuals may say, as far as the salt itself, instead of the more processed table salt, they may say, all right, it's okay to do like the sea salt or like the pink Himalayan salt. So again, those are things that sometimes get approved. Um, and again, the way I look at it is whatever it is that you agree on, as a body of Christ. If it's your church that's doing it and they say, guys, it's okay to include honey as long as you're doing this, this, and this, because it's the unity. So if
Yeah.
everyone is on the same page and doing it the same way, then God will honor that. So if that's what you're, because that's more the basis of this and not so much, you're over there, cheating with your eating your little Cheetos, and this person is here, trying to go without it, without sugar and salt and all of this. Meanwhile, someone else is doing something. So if there are little things that, as a church or the leadership decides, like, it's okay, we're doing this Daniel fast, and we're fasting from processed foods and we're fasting from this, but, you can still eat little snacks and so on throughout the day, but as long as it's within, the parameters of all the kind of foods that we set.
I like that. I like that, because so often in truth and in fact, Arlene, and I've seen it, pastor would call a fast and everybody have a different reason why they can't join in on the fast, right? And then you have those who will say that they're doing the fast and they know they're cheating, right? And then you'll have the fast that should go from 6 to 6, but then some of us stop at 9 o'clock in the morning, some of us stop at 12 o'clock, some of us stop at 3 o'clock. The matter of, as you said, unity, us agreeing together. I never heard it like that, but I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Things like oats and raisins and bananas and that kind of thing. Are those some of the things that we can add to our grocery list?
For sure. Um, Nothing's wrong with the bananas. The only thing is, I'll speak to those that, for example, may have certain medical conditions. So a person, for example, that has diabetes, having, again, it's plant-based, so it's fruits, vegetables, water. Some people will do that.
Mm-hmm.
A person that has diabetes cannot have excessive amounts of fruits because, again, fruits are
Sure.
high in sugar. Now, the fruits that like a ripe banana has a high sugar content and also high content of carbohydrates. So that
Mm,
individual, should not be having a banana every day because their diabetes is going to go out of control.
Mm.
So those are individuals that have to be mindful. So say, for example, this diabetic is someone that takes insulin or takes other medications. They probably cannot go fasting from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., meaning, go without anything,
Yeah.
and say, oh, I'm just going to drink water. No, again, because you have to also remember in a congregation or in a house of faith, you have not just different medical conditions, but people of different age group. So what
Mm-hmm.
you might be able to tolerate, someone in their 70s or 80s that wants to honor God and wants to do the fast may not be able to do it that way. They might only be able to fast for 4 hours, and have their little water or have tea without anything in it, but then they have medications that says take with food.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to adhere to that. So taking it with food doesn't necessarily mean like, okay, I'm going to have pork chops and chicken and rice and peas. It just means like, okay, if I have to have it with food, it would be something that's still within the parameters of what you can have. So I've often, and like we have a young lady who she's a nursing mother,
Mm-hmm.
and she approached and she said, I really want to do this, but I don't want my milk production to decrease because I
Wow.
still need to feed the baby because
Right.
she's still breastfeeding. And I said, you know what? Let's talk. And so for her, it's making sure she's drinking enough water. And I also encouraged her, I said, even coconut water, because it may not have, it will have some natural sugar, but also other electrolytes. And I told her, I said, you can definitely do, trail mix because she also has a condition of hypoglycemia. If she goes too long without eating, she has passed out in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
she's
wow.
a great example. So she's a mother that's breastfeeding that cannot go for too many hours without eating, or in the past she has passed out. So what my advice to her was, make sure one, you're staying hydrated. Definitely eat the fruits because the fruit will have enough sugar to kind of hold you over,
Mm-hmm.
but every few hours if she has to. So say she says, generally I can go even 4 hours
Yeah.
without eating because she says I drink a lot of water. So
Mm-hmm.
that individual, I would say if you now feel like, okay, I need something, then you can have a piece of fruit. That trail mix is great to reach for because then you can put whatever things you like, whether you're adding peanuts, walnuts, um, the raisins, because again, as long as you're getting something that does not have added sugar,
Yeah.
you can have that. Grapes are high in sugar,
Mm-hmm.
and so are bananas. So you can have those things. And I tell her, carry those things and keep them with you so that if you know like it's almost time for me to eat or I'm starting to feel this, then you can reach for that. So even though she's not fasting for 12 hours,
Mm-hmm.
but she's still, even if she has to have a little snack or something, it's still the foods that's within the parameters or the restrictions of a Daniel fast.
Yeah. So you said something a while ago that, the fruits and stuff, there's sugar enough to balance us. I want you to talk about the phantom. And I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. So I got up this morning, let's use an example, and I did some fruit juice and I'm good. And I had some trail mix. And then at 12 o'clock, my brain is telling me, oh, you need some rice and peas and chicken. And if you don't eat the rice and peas and chicken, you're going to fall over. When I have like a little oats mix or something, right? I'm on the fast, but all of a sudden I feel like, oh my God, I can't see, my head feel weak. I'm drinking the water, I'm drinking the juice and that kind of thing. How, is it that it's because your body's so used to it, so your body's telling you, and it's really just a phantom, and that you're really not really hungry?
Yes, that is very true. Um, Even individuals that are not necessarily on a fast, and then say they're just kind of, on a weight loss journey, for example,
Mhm.
if they have to part ways with certain foods, your brain will kind of tell you, oh, or you might feel the hunger, but what happens is at times it's more thirst. So if you have water or have something, it will be enough to kind of calm you, or because your brain, your stomach oftentimes does not really care what you put in it. And I'll pause because your stomach does not necessarily care. It just knows, okay, I'm empty and I want something. It's your all the other senses. So your sense of smell, the taste buds, your eyes, and then your brain. So think about you sitting in your office and someone is somewhere off warming up their lunch in the microwave. The
Mm-hmm.
first thing that happens is you smell it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see it, you don't taste it, but just from smelling it,
Yep.
your brain starts to imagine because you know the smell of pasta, you know the smell of chicken, you know the smell of, so your brain is already, and then what happens? You start to salivate. So
Oh
now
yeah.
your mouth is running water, as you would say. You're salivating until your brain, so you have already um formulated this desire for this thing, and now you're salivating and now your stomach's growling. Meanwhile, you're saying, but I just had my oatmeal.
Mm-hmm.
And so the difficulty, I think, at times with the fast, the Daniel fast and staying on track is, if especially if you don't have that opportunity to say, you know what, I'm home and I'm home during this time period. And when I feel this overwhelming sense of, then you know what, it's time to go into prayer and it's time to read the word, or it's time to turn on that worship song and, just give God some praise. And your mind just shifts from whatever was now attempting to overtake you to go eat something that you're not supposed to during this time. And
Yeah.
so, what do you do when you're at work or when you're, you know, at a place where at that point in time you feel this way, but you're not able to say, go lay out and be prostrate before the Lord and, just kind of give it all to Him. What I love about God is that He's an on time God and He
Mhm.
always makes a way of escape. And that's why for us, being prepared is very, very important. So, you truly at that moment, you call on God and you're like, Lord, this is what I'm feeling right now, and I really need your help because I cannot, you know, I can't seem to fight this feeling or whatever it is. Because you might not be able, like I said, to really just go into, deep prayer at the moment, but we
Yeah.
can whisper that to Him. We can say it in our hearts, in our mind, and say, God, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
But for those that, and I talked to even some of the males who are, they do labor intensive work. And so for
Mm-hmm.
them sometimes they really can't go that full 12 hours with nothing but water. It's not always feasible. So I will
Mm-hmm.
say, again, make sure you have fruit, make sure you have fruit juice, things like that that will help to bring your glucose to a level that you can still function, still be safe. Because you wouldn't want someone to be on a construction site where they're a truck driver and they operate certain machinery, and
Mm-hmm.
now they're going to this hypoglycemic um, episode and get
Yeah.
hurt, because
Yeah.
that's not the point of it. The beauty in the past, or even in the days of old, when there was a fast called,
Yeah.
we know even the animals were fasting.
Oh
Like
yeah.
everything shuts down. There's
Yes.
no work. There's no tilling of the soil. There's none of that going on.
Yeah.
But we are in a different time and different season. And whatever it is that you do for the Lord, as long as you're doing it faithfully, He honors that. He
Hallelujah.
honors that.
Hallelujah. You're so right. You're so right. Um, Breaking the fast. Breaking the fast. I know. So when we sleep all night, hey, that's us fasting, whether we not believe it or not. And when we have our breakfast, that's us breaking the fast. But on a real sense of breaking the fast, whether it be an intermittent fast, just a regular purpose, or just on a serious note, a faith-based fast, how do we break that fast, Arlene? I'll tell you, I always like to use my own self. And, I've could identify with the phantom because I will go through a fast, and at the end of the fast, like the fast is to finish 6 o'clock, and I start cooking at 5 o'clock because you see, when the clock strikes six, oh God, I'm going to have a big plate of food. I have, there's a big piece of chicken, there's a whole heap of gravy, there is rice, there is one jug of juice, and all the different things. And I will tell you, most times what I have found, and again, since for me, I've done prolonged fast, etc. When I do that to myself, I end up with severe stomach and belly ache. And I recognize, I guess, one, it's a lot of acid that I just threw down in my system because I went and I had fried food and that kind of thing, you know. And I'm calling you up because I did something crappy or and I'm living on Daika and all kinds of stuff. And then I'm feeling defeated that, the fast that I should have ended with feeling so refreshed, I'm now feeling like a mess because I have this prolonged headache, I have this stomach ache, and the whole works. How do we truly break a fast so that we're not ending up with those kinds of symptoms?
So when you say break the fast, are you talking about after the 21 days is
Yes,
over?
yes.
Okay. Yes. So I have seen that happen, where individuals be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait."
Mhm.
And they eat, and they have the desserts, and they have everything that they couldn't have had, and truly they do get sick. Whether they get sick that night or they get sick that the following day. It's the same as when you are starting the fast. If you go from eating all that stuff all at once to now nothing in terms of no sugar, no, you are going to feel the effects. And and so the proper way to truly break the fast is, you know, not that you can't eat the rice and the this and the that, but it would be better, say have something that's a little bit more gentle on the stomach. Whether you decide you want to do some soup, whether if you are going to have something solid, like the rice and so on, I would say you do your rice, make sure you still have vegetables, and don't go for something fried. If you're having nothing's wrong, you would still, you can have the fish, you can have, if you choose, like, oh my gosh, I want the meat, then don't do such a large portion of the meat. And
Yeah.
I would say not have it fried, but more, do something that's baked, because again, your system is going to react. It really
Mm.
will. And one of the things that's amazing, you might struggle the first couple of days of the fast, but as you go along, you feel the difference in your body. You feel more energetic. You don't feel so sluggish. You don't feel so weighted down. I mean, we may not want to talk about it, but let's be honest. I mean, even your bowels are just more regular and free, and you feel light, and just, you might see things that's changing. Like you're like, wow, my stomach doesn't feel so puffy or bloated. My legs aren't my ankles aren't swollen. My hands don't feel swollen. Even my skin looks a little different.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's true. That's true. That's
So
true.
why so it blows my mind sometimes that why we're so in such a rush to get back to, you know, eating some of the things that we know for sure are really not good for us.
Yeah. Gluttony. What is this gluttony? Yeah, let's talk about gluttony because I think about it as I'm listening to you, um Honestly, when I do my prolonged fast, that first 2 days, there's a struggle indeed. But as I get deeper in it, and it's usually, I kid you not, every single time that I have truly gone on a fast, Arlene, I can't wait to get to 21 days or however, to the end of it. But can I tell you, when I get to the end of it, I don't want to stop. I feel like I just want to go and go and go. But then, of course, there's always this thing that says, oh, I need to be eating this. I need to, that kind of thing. Let's talk about gluttony. Let's talk about that a little bit. Is it that Joshua Selman, I think he said, that was I remember one of the first things that the Lord um, brought into my vision when I decided to really take fasting serious. I heard Joshua Selman says a lot of us we're eating our purpose, we're eating our blessings, we're eating our destiny, right? We've got become gluttonous and stuff because fasting is really us just pushing away a plate of food, and we're struggling to push away a plate of food for our breakthrough. Right?
Mhm.
We are so into wanting to, I think about, and honestly, I feel like I'm going through that now. I think about all the different foods and stuff because I had a lot to eat during the Christmas. And honestly, I'm feeling gluttonous and like my stomach is saying, you need a break. You need a break, you know? Talk to us about this matter of gluttony. Are we eating ourselves to disaster?
So, I mean, when I think of gluttony, it's more of not necessarily what you eat, but it's gluttony often it's more the overeating or overindulgence, So it it's a little tricky to kind of dissect because again, individuals might not necessarily overeat or eat excessive amounts in one sitting. But
Mhm.
sometimes some people just don't eat the right things, but some people even eating the right things, if you're overeating or eating it too much, and kind of, once you're full, you still like, okay, I still need to eat more and more and more. So it's that lack of discipline, I would say,
Yeah.
where you're and that's where again the fasting comes in because it's a thing that you are truly putting the flesh under subjection, putting the flesh under subjection by just saying, okay, you know what? This is what I feel like I would want, but I know, no, I'm turning it away for the greater good, not just my health and my body, but for a breakthrough, for an answer, for
Yeah.
something that is the greater good. So individuals can even be gluttonous with the proper things because again it's the overindulgence of a thing, and so you just you kind of have to find that happy medium, if you would, or the balance. Like if you truly know that you're full, in terms of naturally you're eating something and you're like, okay, I'm full, then just remember, if you're home, you can have it later or tomorrow. If you're
Mhm.
out at some places you can't take anything, but that's the thing. Going to a place where you know that, okay, they're going to serve you a particular portion. If you know that you have an issue with that, whether it's overeating or so, then don't go to a buffet. You know what I mean? Don't
Yeah.
go to a buffet because clearly you can't take anything with you. You have to eat as much as you want there.
Yeah.
Whereas when you go to a particular restaurant, you get served. If you eat it all, okay. But if you don't, then you have the option of taking the rest home with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. As we wrap up, faith and fasting. Um, faith and fasting. What do I say now? What have we not touched regarding faith and fasting that you think it's necessary for us for us to hear, especially from a medical standpoint?
Mm. So I would say from a medical standpoint that when it comes to your faith, you truly have to take it seriously because your faith walk is between you and God.
Mm.
He created you. He knew what was going to happen to you. He knew what was going to come. So even if you have a medical condition, he knew that was going to happen. And as I've said to, friends, family, and even patients, that, what, it didn't take him by surprise. And you have to be encouraged and know that, guess what? He has made preparation for even that.
Yeah.
And so for me, I take pride in knowing that God has blessed me to be able to walk as his servant, but also put me in a position where I can be of help to his people so that people can see that, listen, yes, you can have faith, you can serve the Lord and still believe that, guess what? He heals in different ways. He
Yeah.
intervenes, miraculously where it's just done and suddenly it's done. He can heal you in a progressive way. And there are times where he says, guess what? I have skilled professionals that believe in me, that trust me, that guess what? They will guide you in the right way to go.
Yeah.
And so they don't have to feel defeated if you have to go to the doctor or if you have to take medications for something, because it doesn't mean that God is still not working in your favor or that he's not watching over you. He is watching over you, but
Amen.
he has just
Mm.
chosen a different method to heal you or a different method to walk you through the journey. And so I never know, or the person never knows how God is going to do it until he does it.
Oh, bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. Thank you so much for that. Bless the Lord. And I will just quickly interject here with my, with a little testimony. I remember when I had to do my last surgery, and my doctor had actually referred me over to a specialist. But being because we're such good friends, she was there in the surgery as well. And she said, Simone, we noticed all of a sudden blood was coming where it shouldn't be coming from. And she said she didn't say she applied medical procedures then. She said she started calling on the name of Jesus, right, in that surgery. So that for me was all I needed to know, that God's hand was in this. And then again, I will dare say that the fact that I get to be your best friend, and you being such an awesome medical practitioner doing this for years. As a matter of fact, guys, I will say to you, we've been friends for over 40 odd years. We used to go to basic school, primary school together. Well, we call it all age school, Flankers all age school. And we would be walking home, and Arlene has always wanted to be in the medical field, always. And so my eyes have lived to behold it and experience it. And so, listen, God does establish his people. He does bless the work of our hands, and he does give different gifts to different people that's beneficial to us at a point of need. Now, Arlene, I want
Amen.
you to share a little bit about your practice, right? What is it that you specialize in, right? And then how is it that persons can reach out to you if they need your services?
Okay. So I am a primary care nurse practitioner. So as a nurse practitioner, I basically uh, I'm certified to do adult care, so I can legally see anyone from age 13 to 100 and whatever. So primary care is my passion because, again, I believe in prevention and preventative health. As I often state that I truly believe in education before medication. So
Mm,
if there's anything that I really push with my patients is, making sure that they get their checkups and be aware of what's happening before it's something that would require medication. So in primary care, so as a nurse practitioner, basically I am not an MD, I am not a physician, but truly our practice is basically the same. But I am not a medical doctor, but you can't convince some of my patients. That's just how they are, how they feel. And they say, well, what do we call you? I said, just call me by my name. And at this point, because truly what we do as nurse practitioners is really not that much different than what a physician would do. Um, and where I am in Connecticut, we are able to practice independently. You are able to also practice in collaboration with a physician, but we are not under the supervision of a physician. So my practice, my personal practice, it is called Arlene Campbell Medical Center. It is basically a virtual or, like you said, telehealth, but it's basically virtual care. So just like I'm talking to you now, I'm able to meet with my patients, talk to them, and I take care of the same things that I would in my on-ground office practice. The only thing I can't do, obviously, is your annual physical, because we can't do that virtually. We need to be hands-on, touch you, listen to your lungs and your heart, and so on. But through telemedicine, it has really been a game changer because truly individuals since COVID, when we weren't able to go to the doctor's office and truly see a patient, but it had brought to the forefront just, the ability to be able to assess your patient and see what they need. So, anything from, a cold or, flu-like symptoms, if a person isn't sure what's going on, then they can come on. We talk about, what's going on. And I assist individuals with, managing their blood sugar, managing their blood pressure, you name it. And if there is something that I say, okay, you know what, we've talked about this a couple times and it doesn't seem to be kind of going well, then it's time for me to see you in person and getting some of those things done. But there is a lot that can still be done virtually from the comfort of your home, or if you could be at work and you're on your lunch break and you're like, you know what, I have this rash or, something's going on and it can be handled. Be on your lunch break, you get seen, medication is sent to your pharmacy, and you don't miss work. You're not, having to miss a day at work or, wait for a week to get an appointment with your doctor. So some of the patients that I do see, they're not my personal patients. They have their own primary care providers, but they just instead of going to an urgent care facility, which means you're taking time off of work to go there, and now you have to kind of wait in line or however it goes, you're not really missing a beat by being able to just book your appointment online or call for an appointment and be seen the same day or within a 24-hour period. And where you can find me, I do have a virtual site, and it is www.arlenecampbellmedicalcenter.com. Right. Or you can just type in Arlene's Medical, arlenesmedical.com. It'll pop up.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And indeed, and we can find you on Facebook as well, right?
Yes, ma'am.
If we were to click Facebook, is there a connect, like say contact us link there as well?
For the telehealth,
Mm-hmm.
there might be. I'm not 100% sure.
All right. Well, best yet, we can go to your website. And again, guys, I will
Yeah.
leave the link below so that if it is that you are indeed you're in the US and you are looking for such a service, then you've been praying, you've been literally interceding for such a service. Ta-da! Here it is, right at your fingertip. Arlene, I just want to say thank you so much for joining. But just before we wrap up again, um, you know, I want you to just give a word of that somebody needs right now. Somebody who is thinking, I thought I needed to go on a fast. Should I go on a fast? That kind of thing. They're just going through a rough time and they're thinking, has God forgotten me? What do I do? That kind of thing. I just want you to just share what the Lord has just laid on your heart, for somebody.
What I would say is that truly God, again, He knows, He knew you before you were even formed in your mother's womb, and nothing that you're going through truly takes Him by surprise. And one of the things that the Lord had reminded me when I remember just trying to make a decision about something, and it was just really, really, it's a life-changing decision that needed to be made. And I struggled with it for such a long time. And it was, it was hard. And I didn't know what to do or where to even turn, but I knew I needed to turn to the Lord. And I remember as clear as day, and I still remember it to this moment, where the Spirit reminded me that even your worst mistake and your worst decision, even if you made the worst or the wrong decision, God knew, and He has already gone ahead and made preparation even for that. And I tell you, the weight was lifted off of me because I'm saying, here I am racking my brain about, what to choose and which way to go. And God had already stepped into my tomorrow and made the preparation. So whatever the choice was that I made, He knew, and He knows what you're going through and what your decision is going to be. Obviously, we don't want to be hasty in the things that we do, and we want our decisions to be governed by God. And, the basis should be His word.
Yeah.
And as He reminds us that His word, if we hide it in our hearts, we hide it there because what? We don't want to sin against Him. And so I would say to someone that if you're thinking about going on a fast, the fact that you're even thinking about it means that you should do it. Does it need to be 21 days? Not necessarily. But I tell you this much, that once you start it, the Spirit will guide you through, and you will know when it's time to end. Or you may start it and you hear audibly the voice of the Lord saying, 7 days, 10 days, 21 days, 30 days, 40 days. You never know, because whatever He tells you, He's going to equip you for it, and He's gonna see you through. He's going to see you through. And the one last thing that I will say, even for me, is that definitely I do believe that no matter where you are, whether in your career, what you do for your job, what you do for your career, that God strategically places us in places that, guess what? Just like the devil has his agents everywhere, God needs His people everywhere. He needs His people everywhere. So I believe that, yes, that you can have faith in medicine.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. What a great way to end. Thank you so much, my darling. It's always a pleasure. I mean, wow, we haven't seen each other in such a long time, but because we talk every day, it just feels like just this connection. And it's just beautiful to know that I have a best friend. I can literally say I have a best friend. I have a best friend in you, and you've always just I don't know. You just warm my heart. You're like, I feel like you and I are the David and the Jonathan. Literally, my heart is connected to you. And I just absolutely love you so much, my darling. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And I want
It
to
is
make a
my pleasure.
declaration over your ministry and over your business, that it will flourish. that it will flourish, that your name, the name Arlene Campbell, it will become a household name for medical services, not just in Connecticut, but right across the United States. And who knows, God may allow you to cross some boundaries, some borders, so that you are able to touch other lives. As a matter of fact, he literally just impacted me that, listen, somebody from Nigeria could come to the US and you are the one that they come to see. Somebody from Jamaica and you are the one that they come to see. Somebody from the UK, Trinidad, wherever it is, they visit the US, they need the services, and you are the one that they get to see. And guess what? You would have been touching lives of people outside of the US. So may the Lord enlarge your territory. May the Lord's hand be with you. May the Lord bless your finances and your resources. May He bless your kneading dough. May He bless you in the city and bless you in the field. And may everything that you put your hands to, may the Lord bless it. May the Lord bless the work of your hands. May the Lord bless the counsel that comes from your mouth as you speak into the hearing and the lives of others. Already He has given you such a voice that when you open your mouth, it may not seem like it's that powerful, but I can tell you that it causes others, it causes a stop in the atmosphere. It does. God has truly blessed you. So I pray a blessing over you, a blessing over your husband, a blessing over your daughter, and indeed just a blessing all over. Thank you again.
God bless you. And as you said that, it just brought to my thoughts. I didn't share it, but it's been something that I've written down for a very long time, and it's ministry and medicine.
Hallelujah.
And I'll just leave it there. Ministry and
Hallelujah.
medicine.
Hallelujah. Bless the Lord. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what can I say? You've heard it for yourself here. Faith and fasting, a medical conversation you definitely needed to hear. And of course, I'd love to hear from you. What part of this conversation really stood out for you? Have you been toying with the matter of fasting? Should you? Should I not? Why should I? That kind of thing. Oh, I'm just going to do it because I just want to lose some weight. Or is it that God has truly been saying to you, you're indulging in gluttony, and I need you to pull yourself away. I need you to push away a plate of food because I want to talk to you about some things. There are some things I need to fix in your life. And so this is what God has used to just bring you to a full stop because He wants to get your attention. Listen, you know what we do here. This ministry belongs to the Lord. And so it's always about, what does He have to say? Whose voice has He amplified so that it can echo in your ears? I don't know about you, but I think she's my best friend, but I think I hear the Lord speaking loud and clear. If you've been thinking about fasting, maybe, just maybe, you need to be indeed indulging in a fast. Let me tell you something. Here on Uniquely Me, we talk, we share the stories, we share faith, we just share as the Lord so lead, because this place is a place of the voice, your voice, someone else's voice, because Uniquely Me, definitely uniquely you. Until next week, guys, share this, leave a comment, like, subscribe, do the drill, okay? And I'll see you next week. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.
And uniquely me is uniquely you.